Welcome to Aligned and Abundant, the podcast where authenticity meets practicality, compassion, alignment, and abundance. I'm your host, Christine Marcario, and I help you slow down, become more mindful, improve your mental and emotional health, and live life on your highest timeline. Together, we'll talk strategy, life lessons, and share inspiring stories of people who have overcome obstacles, grown through their pain, and risen above adversity. If you are looking for divine inspiration rooted in love and light, paired with practical tools and encouragement, you're in the right place at the right time. From one heart to another, you are an amazing and divine soul with a purpose. Take my hand and let's walk this path together. On today's episode, I have a very special guest. Her name is Angie Bailey. Angie is a retired nurse turned calligraphy mentor and founder of Calming Calligraphy. After overcoming her own experience with burnout, Angie discovered the healing magic of putting pen to paper and now teaches others to use calligraphy as a powerful tool for stress relief and self-discovery. Through her workshops, speaking engagements, and online community, she empowers heart-centered women to slow down, get creative, and reconnect with themselves. Angie believes in progress over perfection, a good laugh, and that creativity can be the best kind of medicine. I wholeheartedly agree that laughter and creativity can open so many doors for us. And I'm so interested to hear how you went from being a registered nurse, extremely high pressured, go job and mentality, to teaching the most amazing and beautiful calligraphy workshops. So Angie, welcome. Thank you for joining me today. And please start at the beginning with your journey.
Okay, thank you so much, Christine. I'm so excited to be here. So, yes, as you said, I worked as a registered nurse for 32 years, always in the operating room, and it was high stress, but I really thrived on that kind of environment. And as you can imagine, though, being in an environment like that with the high pressure and with, life and death situations, because for about 10 years, I worked in a trauma center. So it was life and death situations, especially on night shift when it was a full moon. Like that's all very true when they say that. And so I took it very seriously, my job, because people's lives hung in the balance. And so I became very perfectionistic because of my job. I don't think I was born that way. When I was young, I was very carefree. And the nursing career actually was not something that I intended to do myself. I didn't know what I really wanted to do after high school, what post-secondary education I wanted, but I wanted to do something in the arts. And my parents encouraged me to do something that made a lot of money or, made money, period, at that time. So my mom really wanted me to become a nurse. So I became a nurse. And because I felt so out of my element, I thought, "Oh, like, I don't belong here. I don't know what I'm doing." Even though I went through the schooling, I passed everything, and lo and behold, I'm here. But I felt like so out of place. It took about a year. It takes some time when you're in a specialized area like the OR, ICU, ER, for it to meld. And it did. Eventually, it felt like a second home, and I really loved it, but it was high pressure. So, you had asked me how I went from one to the other. So, I went through cycles of burnout in my career, and I had little inklings. I would start to feel a fog in my head. I would have like an underlying unhappiness, and I was always a very happy person. I felt like I wasn't fulfilling my potential, even though I got really good at my job, but I still felt like it's not the place that I was meant to be. So I had little signs, but I ignored them, because I had a husband and kids, and it was a good pay and great coworkers, fulfilling. Patients, were very grateful for the care they got. So I felt stuck in that spot. And so eventually, I think it was 2015 or 16, I hit the wall. Okay, so always a very highly energetic person, very expressive, very happy. Not the kind of person who would ever take a nap. I've never been a nap as much as I want to be, as tired as I can be. I just could never nap. I finally would be coming home from work and I'd sit down and like, oh, I think I'm gonna just put my head down for a second and sleep for hours. And my husband would come home and be like, Ange, like, where are you? And he'd find me downstairs on the couch and he'd say, kids running around. Oh, I guess I'll cook dinner. Cook dinner. He would cook the dinner, try to wake me up. Couldn't wake up because it wasn't just tired, it was just exhaustion, burnout. And this went on for like 2 weeks where I would come home every day from work and just flat out. Then he would wake me up for dinner. I would sleep through it. I'd say no. Then he'd wake me up at 11 p.m. and he'd drag me up to bed. I'd fall asleep. I'd go to work. I'd be able to wake up and have enough energy for work. And then as soon as I got home, I was done. So for a couple of weeks, I didn't eat dinner for 2 weeks and I gained like 10 pounds. I ended up finding out that I had this diagnosis of Hashimoto's thyroiditis. So it's an autoimmune condition.
Mhm.
It's becoming very prevalent in, the media now. A lot of people are finding out that they have this. So I found out about that and, my family physician was not quite on board with what this meant and all, my labs were all normal and all of this, but I knew enough. I knew what to Google, so I found the proper doctors to help me.
Mhm.
So I found a functional medicine doctor at that point, and he suggested that I go on a strict gluten-free, dairy-free, corn-free, soy-free diet, no more boot camp type exercises, meditation, yoga, lifestyle diet changes, the whole bit. So I did all of that, and then I had another appointment with him in 3 months, and supplements too. I forgot all the supplements, so I went to see him, and I said, yes, I'm feeling better than I did this past 3 months, but I still don't feel as good as I did like the day before I hit the wall. I said, like, I'm just still off. And he said, continue what you're doing. But then he, a face to face. So, Angie, like, what are you doing for yourself? And I just kind of laughed at him, right? I said,
Right.
for myself, like, are you kidding me? Like, it's work and it's family, and that's it. And he said, like, really, he said, no, you need to do something for yourself. Like, do you like sports? Do you like art? And I said, oh, I used to love calligraphy. I learned when I was 10 years old. And he said, I order you to go home and do calligraphy. I said, I don't remember. He said, well, how did you learn then? I said, well, I taught myself. He says, well, go back and teach yourself again.
I love that.
Yeah, I know that a doctor would say this, but this was a functional medicine doctor. And like to this day, I owe him for helping me regain my life because, as women,
Yep.
we just do so much and we don't do enough. We think we have to keep everything moving. And honestly, if he hadn't said that to me, it's so silly. But if he didn't give me that permission to do this for myself, like I probably would have, like, I don't know. I don't know, but I'm just so grateful to him. And so then I started teaching myself calligraphy again. And it was like I started doing it, and I was in this flow state that I didn't even realize. And I would look at the time and it'd be like, oh my gosh, I've been sitting here for an hour and it felt like 10 minutes, right? And then I was talking to my sisters and I said, you know what I'm doing again? I started calligraphy and you wouldn't believe how calming this is. And they just laughed at me. And I said, why are you laughing at me? And they said, well, when you were 10 years old, we bought you that calligraphy kit for your birthday. And they said, like, we were so busy. And they're 5 and 7 years older than me. So at the time, they were 15 and 17, and they were into their boyfriends, their friends. And I was a real tag along. Like, I wanted to be with them because they were cool, right? But when they gave me this, plus I was like a Tasmanian devil, like high energy. they gave me this. I'd sit there for hours and I was out of their hair. And they said, "Yeah, we know that." And I said, "How do you know that?" And they said, "Because we saw you with this thing." But I never made the connection.
Wow.
I know, isn't that nuts? And so I have been practicing like almost virtually every day since. It is my meditation.
First of all, I can so relate to everything that you just said because you get caught up in just go, 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 that you don't have time to even think about what do you need. And you
Yes.
get to the point, I can speak from experience where, yeah, you come home and you just numb out, whether it's taking a nap or it's
Yeah.
watching TV and just zoning out or doom scrolling because your body is giving you all the signs like do something different and you're just not listening because of all the reasons. You know, you have a family to take care of, you might be the breadwinner, etc. And
Right.
I think that I can also relate to I had like that whisper like there's more to do, there's more to be, there's more to give and it's like
Yeah.
you have to figure that out. And sometimes you have to put like one tool down before you can pick another up. Do you know what I mean?
It really eats away at you, that gnawing. But really, when you just said that, you feel like you have to put one tool down before you pick another one up. Yes, you feel that way, but it's not so.
Mm,
I could have been spending 10 minutes a day on my own
right.
creativity. I probably would have extended my work life, to be honest,
Oh,
uh,
wow.
because I did retire early, like in
Right.
2021. I mean, the whole COVID
Yeah, of
situation
course.
kind of put me over the edge.
Right.
And it allowed me to get into my calming calligraphy, my
Mm.
business, a lot more detailed, which is fantastic. And so I'm very happy about that. But just the way it happened, I wasn't pleased, but
Yeah, that's understandable for sure.
yeah,
I think that something that you just said makes sense. And I think that as women and as people who are busy or say we're busy, right, we forget that, yeah, these resources and the ability to do something is really our choice. So, do you lead with that belief when you're coaching your workshops and when you're hosting your calligraphy events? Do you make note to share with your guests that this is something that they can do to just calm? It's like a form of meditation almost.
yes, I do share it with them. The majority of the time, I share that with them because for me, that's what it's all about, the actual creation, the process of it,
Mhm.
not the end result. So I sometimes I will forget to share it, and then partway through a workshop, like somebody will say, "Oh my gosh, this is just so calming." And it's like, "Yes, thank you." Yes, it is. And that's the whole reason why I do it. And so after finding that for myself, I would bring like little worksheets with myself to work, and on a break, I'd be, doing my calligraphy, and the nurses would be saying, "What are you doing?" It's like, "Oh, I'm learning calligraphy again." And, "Oh, can you teach us?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm not very good." And they're like, "Well, that looks beautiful." And, everybody has a different idea of what beautiful looks like. But I said, "Yeah, you know what? I will teach it because it's really not about the end product. It's about the process." But of course, I always say practice, 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 because the more you practice, the better it makes you feel. And then you're bound to improve as well. And I
Absolutely.
really have improved so much over the years. And
Wow.
it's crazy to me. Yeah. But then there's some days where I'll pick up the pen and it'll look like I've never done this before. It's so weird. It's just so weird the way that happens.
Do you think that in that scenario, do you think there's a difference of like when you're in flow state? I'm just curious because I know that you and I are in the same world and we kind of like operate with trying to come out of a state of being in flow and in alignment. Do you feel like the
Yes.
days when you pick it up, you're like extra stressed, the days that it doesn't come out as beautiful as you'd like? I'm just
Um,
curious.
yes, that's a great question. I'm not sure that I'm extra stressed so much as wanting it to turn out better, not wanting it to look good on those days. So when I am doing, I could be crazy stressed. And like my kid, I mean, my boys are 24 and 25 now, and they still, like, they get along, but they like to
Yeah.
fight. And sometimes their fun play fighting turns into, the real thing. And so all hell can be breaking loose. And Before I would get so stressed out, but they could be doing this and I'm not even, I'm in such flow. So I could be really stressed out and start to do it to help myself calm down, and it does. So it's not that I'm less stressed one day and it looks better and more stressed and it doesn't look as good. No. But I find when I'm like, okay, I don't often do custom orders for people. Like
Mm.
my whole thing is the teaching of the calming calligraphy. But sometimes, if it's a friend and they want a piece done, then that's when I kind of get nervous and, oh, because it really has to look really good. So then I feel like I become constricted and then it takes me like 20 tries. Or other times when I am videotaping for social media, right? And then it's like, I could do something with my eyes closed, and then I just have like a really short window of time to produce this video. And that's when, of course, I'm spilling ink and
That makes
all
so
that
much
sort
sense.
of thing. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
crazy.
You're putting that
But
pressure
yeah, it
on
does make
yourself.
sense.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And it's like stop putting pressure on yourself, like progress over perfection. Like I have to remind myself of that constantly, but I have improved,
Oh, yeah.
especially because I'm not at that job anymore. And it's like, you know what? I'm not killing anybody. It's just ink,
Right. Right.
right? I've never
Perfection.
killed anybody, by the way.
Oh, thank God.
I know. I mean, we have had patients like
Yeah.
in, the emergency
Right.
situation, sadly, pass away, during a procedure, and like brutal, brutal. Um, but yeah, but calligraphy is not life and death. It's just a little
Yeah.
spilled ink. So I embrace the spilled ink.
Yeah, I was gonna say it reminds me of like don't cry over spilled milk. It's like don't cry over
Yeah, there
spilled
you go.
ink.
That's right.
Oh my
Ah, too
gosh.
funny.
So if you are comfortable, talk to me a little bit about your Hashimoto's. I know it's an autoimmune disease, and is it brought on by stress? Like, do they know where the origins of that come from?
So, okay, great question. So here in Canada, for
Mhm.
example, like our family physicians, which we call general practitioners, many of them are still not on board that they don't even test the thyroid antibodies, which is what shows that you have the autoimmune condition. So, my guy could test just my TSH, my T3, and my T4 levels, and they could be normal, but that doesn't mean that I don't have Hashimoto's. So, I researched it so much back in the day,
Mhm.
and stress was one of the things. Epstein-Barr virus was another underlying thing, and that was like Epstein-Barr virus is the one that mono, if you ever had mono, and I had mono in the past, and it's like, oh, so I have this Epstein-Barr virus in my system that could be dormant, awake, and giving me these flare-ups or causing the Hashimoto's. It's highly linked to gut health. And so if you have a leaky gut, and I do have a very sensitive gut, and I think from several things. After graduating high school, I went with a group of friends. We went to Acapulco and we ate and drank way too much. And you know what? Like
Living life.
we were living life, and we weren't real partiers actually, but it was like we were let loose and we
Yeah.
were not under our parents' thumb, so we partied.
Uh-huh.
And I got some parasite, I don't know, but I have not been the same since, to
Oh
be
my
honest.
gosh. Wow.
So, yes, so I don't know if they have pinpointed, because after I was so into healing myself,
Mhm.
I mean, I still have Hashimoto's antibodies, but they were over the 2000 range, and then they finally back in the 100 range. They're still elevated, but after I was able to function again and feel really good again, I just thought, let's just keep doing what you're doing. And I stopped really going deep into it. Although now sometimes I do late night scrolling, and
Oh
on
yeah.
TikTok,
I'm guilty of that.
they talk a lot about Hashimoto's, and this one fellow is talking about unresolved traumas and stuff like that, and unprocessed traumas and subconscious mind reprogramming. And I thought, ooh, that's interesting. But like for now, like I'm still gluten free.
Mhm.
I'm not dairy-free, corn-free, or soy-free anymore, but I try to limit that as much as possible. I try to eat clean, but it's not always easy. I love to walk outside, but my daily calligraphy practice is like my meditation.
I love that because there are so many things that I could talk about here. And I feel like at one point I was informed by someone who I look up to that like a lot of our physical ailments can be things that we're storing in our body that manifest into physical ailments. So that's very interesting. A little bit about me in 2019, I was diagnosed with Sjogren's syndrome. I
Oh
don't know if
yeah,
you've
I've
ever
heard of
heard of that. So that's
I've
also an
heard of it.
autoimmune disease. And
Yeah.
same, like I did a ton of research. I'd start researching at 10 p.m. when you're in bed and like you're like, oh my God, I'm gonna die. I'm gonna get this. And then it's like, okay, let's get things under control with like the mind.
Oh my
And then
gosh, yeah.
just it's a matter of what I'm learning is it's a matter of where is the origin of this, like in the body, in the past experience. Maybe, and for me,
Right,
maybe it's a
right,
past lifetime, maybe it's something that's
right.
there to discover. And I do feel like when you do the deep dive healing, definitely make your symptoms better and maybe even heal yourself by
I
doing
agree.
like the energetic work. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? I feel like also sometimes people don't understand like autoimmune diseases, whether it's from a medical practitioner's perspective, because some of these things are new to us, but then also like the spiritual woo woo worlds, like there's whole different opinions and all of that. So I
yeah.
kind of am with you or where you've been in the past and like learning more about it all.
Yeah, there's so much to learn. And, back then, nobody was saying Hashimoto's, and like you find out about something and you're researching it and, you're trying to figure it out. And you have all of these symptoms, like not just tired, like, but when you're exhausted and the brain fog is so bad. I go through phases sometimes when I go through a lot of stress in my life
Yeah.
where it gets bad again, but never as bad as the first time that I hit the wall. I think it is probably all autoimmune things, but I think it's like one of those what they term as an invisible disability. So like people
Mm,
are like, you feel you really like I'm the type of person that if somebody says, "Hey, will you show up for me?" If I feel like crap, I'm going to show up for them and I'll show up and how are you doing it? And I am honest, sometimes too honest, and I'll say, I feel like crap. Oh yeah, right. You look great. Like
yeah.
and
It's
people don't
invisible.
believe you
Mm-hmm.
because you look good,
Yep.
right? Not
100%.
always, not
Yeah.
always.
Mm-hmm.
But for the majority of the time, I looked pretty good. But like life was happening. It seemed like life was happening so fast. I was always so fast. And then it was like I was in this fishbowl and like, oh my gosh, it was so weird, especially going out for dinner with friends and they'd be laughing. It was just the weirdest situation where I could not keep up with their conversations. And I'd be like,
Oh my gosh.
thank God that only lasted a few months and I
Right.
came out of that. But it all had to do with the underlying inflammation in my body. And, you got to find the root cause. Well, so, as you said, I think for these autoimmune conditions, I think there are several root causes. And you just try to put out the fires on
Mm-hmm.
every one that you can, put the lids on all the pots. And right now, nothing's overboiling.
Good. Excellent. I love
So
that.
I'm good.
I love that. And I totally understand what you're saying with the invisibleness of it because, like, for instance, yesterday my husband and I were out, we were doing errands, and it
Hmm.
just comes out of nowhere for me sometimes. Like, it's just like this, oh my God, I'm exhausted all of a sudden. And
Yeah.
for me particularly, it just feels like my eyes are like dragging, like they're like down here. Like that's what it feels like. But like if you look at me, I just look tired. But I'm like, no, this is like a Mack truck ran me over and
Yeah.
I just need to go lay down because I am definitely the type of person that is like, go, 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 go. And I will, same thing. I will be like, I'm good, I can do it, blah, blah, blah. And then like I get home and I'm like dead. Um, and so it's
Yeah.
so funny. I see a rheumatologist and he's really amazing. And he was trying to figure out, like, I had a really great summer last summer. And he's like, well, how much sleep are you getting? And I'm like, on average, I'm like, about 9.5, 10 hours. And he's like, okay, that's the optimal amount of sleep you need. I'm like, that's not real life, buddy. Like, I'm off for the summer because I'm a teacher. I'm like, but that's hard to maintain when you're
Yeah,
living life real
exactly.
time.
When
But
you're
like,
working and oh yeah.
I had to take his word. I had to adjust my sleep because we have to take care of our bodies. You know what I mean? So
Mm-hmm. We
it's
sure
wild how
do.
much you learn and grow and how your body responds and all of that. And you kind of have so much background knowledge too, being a nurse and coming from that side of things. I'm sure you're very educated and well-rounded in terms of that. So, but even then, like, it's just like it's hard to figure yourself out sometimes.
Yeah. Well, especially because conventional medicine, will say all, certain things,
Mhm.
right? Like same with women's health, finally they're starting to really take a look at women in perimenopause and menopause.
Yeah.
Whereas these women were ignored for so many years. I don't know if the
Mhm.
word ignored is the right word, but um yeah, it's just crazy. So like even conventional medicine, like they're only taught so much. And then when you go outside of it, like the naturopathic route, the
Mhm.
functional medicine route, it's like they have their minds open a little bit more. And I'm thinking that conventional medicine is now starting to look
Oh,
at
absolutely.
things
Right.
better, which will
Yeah.
hopefully help improve the overall health of
Yeah, I
society.
think that's definitely the goal. Everyone wants to have a good, healthy body. I practice Reiki,
Oh,
and
you do?
Reiki is becoming more and more recognized by the
It
medical
is.
field. So it's like we can integrate all of these tools and these schools of thought to work together. It doesn't have to be one against the other, but
Agreed.
I think as
Yep.
time goes on, we'll become more open to sharing and exchanging ideas. And that is one of the good things. And it can also be a bad thing, but it's definitely one of the good things about the power of connection through social media
Mm,
and all that. Because that was one of the first things that I
yeah.
did. What is Sjogren syndrome? Who has it? And all of that. And so it was definitely an interesting way to learn about life and how it affects everyone so differently. And then, you find Facebook support groups and all of that. And sometimes that's not
Yes.
the best way to go about it because there's a lot of woe is me people that you come across.
True.
And I'm trying to be like
True.
positive. So I did
Yeah.
it for a while. And then I'm like, all right, I'm going to close that door, focus
Mm,
on healing and getting to the root cause and all of that.
yeah.
So you may have mentioned earlier, it's like an onion unfolding and you're just peeling off layers and you're figuring out what you can do to make your life the best way possible.
Yeah.
And I love that you found something that is really calling on your heart. And so tell me a little bit more about the timing of things. Was your diagnosis around the same time that you were experiencing like the burnout and COVID and being a nurse and all of that? Was it around the same time? Did it overlap?
So the burnout happened in 2016.
Okay, so oh yeah, you mentioned waves of burnout. Yeah, I can relate to that too.
Yeah, like when it hit me really hard, it was, waving a flag, but I was ignoring it for so long. And then boom, right?
It's like the body keeps whispering, but you're tuning it out until
You
it like
don't listen until it screams. Listen to your body's whispers before it has to scream. And so it was whispering, and I just ignored it. And then boom. So for those 4 years before COVID, I started with the calligraphy myself, and then I started teaching it. I started doing some workshops just at the hospital and but not full on in as a business. It did help me become more well-rounded. Like it gave me time for myself, which I was not giving to myself. Nobody was saying to me, like, Angie, don't take the time out for yourself. But I just felt like it had to be one thing or the other. Like, okay, I'm focusing on work now. So I kind of let my creative side wither a little bit. And so I'm very happy that I started that up again. So from 2016 to 2020, I worked at a center where we did a lot of cataract surgery, plastic surgeries. And so the cataracts were very fast moving, like much lower stress than when I worked at the trauma center. So it was great in that respect. And it was great because it was day shift.
Hmm.
So that was awesome. And because my kids were older, and so when they were very young, night shift was actually great. I'm a night person, so I had no problem working night shift, and it worked well for childcare. But It was time for a day job, but it was very treadmill. Like it was like, so many cases a day. And it became so mundane to me. So I was there for 10 years and it was slowly killing me.
Mhm.
And I am a very happy, optimistic person. I think I started becoming that coworker that would just like, complain about things. Like I
Yeah.
always showed up. I was always there, but I'd be like, oh, like give me a break. And
Oh yeah.
and that was not me ever me, but
Right.
I was at the point like I was past my due date for that
Mm-hmm.
job. I really was.
You were more than ready. You were over ready.
I was over ready. So then in 2020, when COVID hit, I was still working. They started doing only emergency cases, like
Yeah.
so glaucoma cases and whatever. I was still going into work and then finally in 2021 there was another bout of COVID and they sent us off to another unit and I'd worked in the OR for 32 years and they said, you won't have to do anything you're not comfortable with. You'll be trained for whatever. No, that did not happen. And I was very comfortable and good at my job in the OR, and this was a ward and it was a medical ward, but I was terrified and I had a panic attack right on the ward. I was like, yeah, I can't do this.
Oh my
I
God.
like I couldn't breathe. Like, oh my gosh, it was so scary, my first full-blown panic attack.
Right.
I'm sure I've had anxiety throughout my life, but I didn't realize that it was anxiety. But a
Yeah.
panic attack, I was like, oh my God, like my heart's jumping out of my chest. I can't breathe. Like I felt like, oh my God, am I having a heart attack? It was so weird. Never happened to me before. And I thought, okay, this is not good. And so I quit the job. I guess it was 2020. I did Kathy Heller's Made to Do This,
Yeah.
Kathy Heller is a business coach that we both know, and it was a fantastic training. And so I thought to myself, yeah, I mean, I've taught the nurses at work. They're getting the same benefit that I'm getting from it, like this whole take about the calming effects of it.
Hmm.
It's so good for people who have a hard time sitting down. They don't even want to try meditation because they've tried it and feel like they can't do it, but they still need a way to relieve stress. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to start a little business here. And then, of course, when I quit nursing in 2021, like I've been going all in on it
Oh my
and
God.
I'm loving it. I feel like I'm doing what I need to do. I'm caring for people in a different way,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. And speaking of that, I love that too because like I went through a little bit of a transition where I am no longer teaching in the like public school setting and I was like, okay, I'm not a teacher anymore. And then like over the span of the past few months, I'm like, well, I don't have to give up that identity. I'm just no longer teaching in the traditional way, but I'm going to be teaching, you know, workshops and adults and if I feel called to teach children
Excellent.
again. And so I love that like you can take something, you can still care for others in a different way. But the beauty of this also is that you're caring for yourself while doing it because
Yes.
you and
Yes.
I were at a retreat together and I remember your energy. I was like, this woman is something magnetic and amazing. And you were just like the cutest
Oh, that's so sweet.
person. I'm being so honest right now, and I loved your energy. It was so inspirational, and I can feel that, and I could see that in
Thank
you,
you.
and
I
particularly
was
when you're,
so happy to be there and so excited and just to be around like 50 other women with the same kind of, mindset and excitement for life and open to possibilities and right, it's
mm,
just to be in that container. It just lit me up and I had such a great time.
yeah, it was amazing, and I just
Yeah.
loved seeing the spark, because
Oh, thank you.
one spark lights up the rest of us. Do you know what I mean? And it's just such a
Yes.
beautiful thing. It's like the energy and the love and the excitement is just so contagious.
Yeah, we were lighting each other up,
Oh
really.
yeah.
We were.
Yeah,
It was
it was so
awesome.
amazing. And I can see that though when you post on your Instagram, which is calling calligraphy, I can see the way that you light up and the way that others are sharing their experiences of your workshop. So it's just such a beautiful gift that you're really giving the world. And it's something I'm not saying it's easy, but it's just so simple that you're just being you. You are going back to what you knew as a kid, like as that 10-year-old little girl, zoning out the
Yeah.
world, doing something that brought you so much inner peace and joy. And that is the beauty. I wonder, like, we always know who we are, or those gentle
Yeah.
tugs of what direction we should go in. And then it's like once we put down all of the shoulds and have tos and we lean back in and we say, what feels good, it almost always opens a door where we should have
Yes.
been in the first place, but we had to go through the mess
Yeah.
to get back to the magic, you know?
Exactly. And you know how you said, oh, I'm not saying it's easy. So yeah, saying that, it's like, yeah, I mean, the actual calligraphy part, like the teaching, the connecting with people is easy. But there's the whole business side of it that's
Oh, yeah.
not easy. And the fact that I am putting way more hours in this than I ever did in my nursing job. So like my husband will say, "Oh my God, like you're still working," or my mom lives close by too, and like, "Oh my gosh, like you're still working," and it's like you might call it work, but it's like I could be doing this 24/7 and it gives me energy. Like
Yes.
yes, I'm putting way more hours, but I'm not drained.
I can so relate to that. I can so relate to that. And again, it's because I was exhausted teaching. And once I
Hmm.
started doing and growing my current practice of being a life coach and hosting group workshops and healing and all of that, I was working so many hours that my husband is like, you are working more now than you worked
Yep.
for the classroom. And my kids were like, you don't spend any time with me anymore. So I had to do like a balancing out. But I was like, I'm having so much fun. Like I'm so joyful. And the same thing, like the time is just passing. I'm like, there's not enough time in the day
Yes.
to do all the
And it's
amazing,
lighting
wonderful
you
things
up, right?
I want to do.
Instead
Yeah. So,
instead of draining you, like 2 hours at one job could be so draining versus 20 hours doing what you love. It's like it's just
yeah.
energizing you. You know what? I heard people talk about that sort of thing for years, and I'm thinking, yeah, that's BS.
Yep.
I really didn't believe it. Now I do because I'm living it.
Exactly. And I love that. And I feel like it's hard. You can say it to someone so many times, like, but it's something like that has to switch in you. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. And something that someone has to experience for themselves,
Yeah,
right?
totally. And I feel like
Definitely.
we see that a lot in like the communities that we're in. Like, well, how do I get abundance? Like people want like a scientific um instruction plan, and it's not that. It's easy, but it's not easy at the same time. It's like it's just you have to
Yeah.
do the inner work. You have to see what lights you up, what doesn't light you up. You have to learn about yourself, your body, your emotions, like all of those components, and then put all of those
Hmm.
puzzle pieces together. And even then, when you think you have it figured out, like there's another layer, right? It's just, I don't feel like
Yeah.
you're
Oh,
ever
yeah.
done growing and
Yeah.
learning. It's just, there's another piece to it, and you just keep building and
Yeah.
building.
Don't you just love the growing part of it? Like you get to this layer, but then you learn something else. And like, I'm sure, because we're
Yeah.
similar, because we are in the same circles, you just love that learning and you
I love
want
it.
to be that lifelong learner
Oh,
and you
yeah.
want to be better and right?
Oh, yeah. I've
I love
always
it.
said I'm a lifelong learner. And
Yeah.
I think the beauty of it also is watching other people unfold and the light bulb moments go off. So that's like the teacher in
Yes.
me that loves that. And then the
Oh,
human
yeah.
being in me, like the compassionate person that I am, like I love watching it like click for someone else. And that's one of the things that like motivates me, right? To get up
Same.
to do
Oh,
this
yeah.
because you want people to have the gift of really living, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
And get off of the just like the constant go, 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 waking up and just doing the same thing every single day. You want people to have that spark
Yeah.
of life. And we have to go through the ebbs and the flows of life in order to figure out what works for us and what doesn't work for us. And the other piece of it is when you are so lit up, you're just bringing in, you're attracting more of the good stuff, more of the opportunities, the right people, the right conversations. And
I believe that. And that's what's been happening for me, right?
yeah, yeah.
It's like, and I was like, wow, this is
Oh my God.
real.
Right. So tell me more about tell me more. I know you have all these golden nuggets that you drew into your life. Tell us a little bit
Yeah.
about those experiences.
So last fall, like every year, our mutual friend Jen lists every January, she does like a word of the year party, right? And so in the fall time, I was thinking, oh yeah, Jen's going to be doing the word of the year. Like, what do I really want next year? And what do I want to make it about? And I thought to myself, like, as a woman, I'm giving. And, I'm not blaming it on anybody else. Like, I'm doing it, right? And it's like, you know what? Women are meant to be receivers. Like, I need to be in my feminine energy and I need to learn to receive. I need to be open
Oh,
for
yes.
good things to come in. So I said this to myself in the fall time and I said, yeah, like when Jen does that, like receive, that's going to be my word. This was October, and I thought, okay, 2025 is going to be my year to receive. And then, like, once I dialed that into my head, a couple weeks later, I received an email from a woman in Western Canada, a consultant saying, hey, we're putting this thing together for Greater Victoria, British Columbia. We think what you're offering would be perfect. You're calming calligraphy. So, would you come out in January? And you could do like a presentation and then teach us calligraphy. And I said, absolutely. I've been paid for workshops, but never formally paid to do like, the whole PowerPoint part of the presentation and all that. And I thought, oh my gosh, this is like nerve-wracking, scary. But I said, yes, right? So this was in November. I said, yes, I'm going to do it. And then I got myself prepped to do it. And she said, send me a proposal. So in the proposal, I said exactly what I would do and I named my price and it was a big number. And I thought, like, because I researched what are other people, although I had never done this before, I thought, well, I have to travel, so I have to take that into consideration and whatever. So put out this big number. And a day later, she says, oh, I'm going to send it to the financial guy and let you know. And she says, yep, it's been approved. And I'm like, thank you. And I'm like, what? Like, it was that easy. And it was a fantastic experience. I went out there and then I have friends out there. So spent some time with friends after the event. And then from then it just kind of snowballed. And then, I was like, okay, keep your mind open. Let's start setting up in-person workshops again because I hadn't done any major events in person since COVID. I did a lot of online
Mhm.
teaching. So it was like, yeah, I'm going to get back into my in-person as well as do some more corporate stuff. Like, okay, this is going to set me up. So I started booking these things. And then a woman reached out to me in March and said, hey, Angie, I saw you on LinkedIn. I'm the editor of Calligraphy Crush magazine. And I thought to myself, oh my gosh, like she wants me, like, oh, like the calligraphers in this magazine are incredible, like, master calligraphers. I'm not on that level. Um, so I thought, well, she wants me to be part of this magazine. So I made a post about it. And I said, I'm going to be meeting with Jill Burke from Calligraphy Crush magazine. I'm so excited to hear what she wants to talk about. And she responded to my post and said, think big. So I thought, okay, this is bigger than the magazine. And then, so in my head, I thought, okay, World Calligraphy Day is in August. And I knew she was attracted to the fact that I was teaching calligraphy as a mindful meditative practice. So I thought, like, why not something like calligraphy as a meditation day, right?
Mhm.
And sure enough, we meet and Zoom meeting, and we both say, yeah, this is what we want to do. And so World Calligraphy as Meditation Day was this past June 21st, and it was incredible. It brought instructors and participants worldwide together, and what an experience. But can I tell you more about the manifestation
Please.
part?
Yes.
So that evening when I met with her on Zoom, she said, oh, and the next issue of the magazine is coming out. Do you think you could throw something together? And she said, if you have an old blog post, and I thought, oh man, I haven't written a blog post, but I know I have old ones that I could revitalize and send to her. So I found one and I sent it off to her that night. And then I thought to myself, okay, we're going to do this World Calligraphy as Meditation Day. She's going to put me in this magazine. Like I'm going to have my article in there and they'll probably put pictures and whatever. So I got everything ready for that. And then that night I thought like, okay, Angie, like this is the year to receive. Think big, just think bigger. So I use Canva a lot to create my social media posts. So I went in Canva and I got a picture of myself and I put myself on the cover of the magazine, like kind of like a vision board thing,
Yeah.
right? Okay,
Hmm.
here, look at me, Mom. I'm on the cover of a magazine,
I love it.
right? So I had that and like it's in my Canva. And then so that was March 22nd. And then on April 2nd or 3rd, we were at that retreat together.
Hmm.
And we're there and it's 9 a.m. Pacific time. And I just happened to open up my phone just to check out my emails. And I see an email from the editor saying, "Hey, Angie, can you send me some good headshots? We want to put you on the cover of the
Oh my God.
magazine." Like, yes, I know. I'm thinking like, and I'm like, wait a minute,
Oh,
like, come on. You hear people say things like this, and I was like, wow, like, are these stories really true? Like, oh my God, I can't believe it. Can this be true for me? And you know what? When I was a child, I was so open to the magic all the time. And as life puts crap on
yep.
top of us, like you close yourself off. But I said to myself, no, going to be open to receiving. And I put that out there and it happened. And then what? There's one more step. There's one
First of
more
all, I'm like
step.
on the verge of tears because like this is
Oh,
just so amazing.
it's so funny because at the retreat, when it happened, then there were a couple people I was sitting next to, and I said, "Oh my God." And they're like, "What happened?" I just got this email. So I told a few people there. And then I was on a call with Kathy Heller,
Yeah.
and actually our friend Jen Liss, I think I can't remember if it was Kathy or Jen that was leading the call, but one of them had asked me about this story. Like we
Yeah.
heard what had happened. So I retold this story. And then as I was telling this story, Kathy Heller pipes in and says, "Hey, you know what? We might need to have you teach your calming calligraphy at one of our retreats."
Hmm.
And then I said, "Wait, stop, hold the phone." I said, "When I came back from your retreat in the springtime, I was all, high on life and just like, you know,
Yeah.
dancing, like just so happy and so pumped. And my mom was like, wow, like you had a great time at this retreat." I said, "Oh my gosh, just being in the energy with these people, with like Kathy, her team, but all the women that were present. It's just to be in that space, it just lifts you up and you just feel so great." And I'm still feeling that high. Like, can you tell?
Yeah.
So my mom says, "Oh, wouldn't it be great if you could work for Kathy or something?" And I said, "Work for Kathy? I'm going to be doing calligraphy at her next retreat." And so I told Kathy that and on
Yeah.
that, on that call, and she said, "Oh my goodness, I got to put this on the podcast." And I said, "Go for it." So I have actually reached out to
Yeah.
Kathy's team in regards to that. And they said, "We'll get back to you, Angie." And I said, "Okay." I thought, you know what? I'm going to the next retreat regardless because I'm so
Right.
excited about it. But
Right.
at some point, I will be teaching calligraphy at
Oh, you
Kathy's
so
retreat.
will. You so will. And I
Yeah.
promise I will probably be in the audience creating
Yay.
calligraphy alongside the rest of the amazing women because there's something so beautiful in having a dream and then setting it free for the universe to respond in the most
Mm,
magnificent, beautiful way. And sometimes it's even bigger than we envision for ourselves.
yes.
And so I
Yes.
love
You're
everything
right.
about that. And I was on that call, I remember. And same, I was like, this is so gonna happen. Like this is totally gonna happen. And so I can't wait for it to happen because I do believe it's
Thank
gonna
you,
happen for sure.
Christine. It has to now because we're holding space for it, right?
Exactly. Exactly. We're
Thank you,
manifesting
my
it
friend.
together.
We're manifesting it together. Yes.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh. This has been such a beautiful conversation. I feel so much lighter also because your energy is, like I said, it's just so magnetic. And I think that is something that is so inspiring because when you are lit up and you are talking about things that make you feel so good, you can't help but inspire other people to feel good also because like you want to drink the Kool-Aid too. You know what I mean? Like you're
Right.
like, what can I do that's going to light me up in that way? And that is one of the beautiful things that we are teaching other women, and it's just so inspirational. And I love everything that you've shared. And sometimes, you have to go through bumpy paths to get to a smoother
Mm.
road. Do you know what I mean? And so this
Oh,
has
yeah.
been such a beautiful conversation. Tell the audience where we can find you, first of all.
Sure. Can I first tell you though, as the call went on, I became more and more lit up. And
Mhm.
that's because of you and your energy.
No way.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes. Could you not feel it? I mean, when we
yeah.
look back at it, we'll be able to see it, right?
Yeah.
It's because we are alike and we are just bringing each other up,
I love
vibrating,
that.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's totally beautiful. And I appreciate you
Yeah.
sharing that because I can totally feel it. Oh, yeah. Like I
It's
have the
true, right?
goosebumps
Yeah.
and like I wanted to cry. And
Hmm.
that is just such a beautiful thing. And I love the working one to one and the having the one to one conversations and seeing each other's faces.
Same.
And again, technology is such an amazing thing because we are in two different countries, yet
Yeah.
we can have this amazing conversation. And
Yeah.
so it's just such a beautiful thing. And I love connecting with people, and that makes me feel so special. So thank you. I've received that. I'm going to use your
Yay.
word of
Thank
the
you.
year.
And I receive it all too.
That's amazing. So,
Yes.
one, where
So
can we find you?
yes, absolutely. So you can find me at my website is calmingcalligraphy.com. You can find me on Instagram at calmingcalligraphy. That's where I spend most of my time. I'm everywhere, Calming Calligraphy, Pinterest,
Love it.
LinkedIn, all of the socials.
You're doing all the
But yeah,
things.
my favorite is Instagram.
I feel
Yeah,
like Instagram is so easy to
it
go on
is. I
and learn
agree.
about people and all of that.
Yeah.
And if I asked you to leave like one message or one lesson that you wanted
Yeah.
to share, and I know that's like it could be hard.
I know there's
Wrap it
so
up in
many
one, but so go crazy.
things.
Say whatever you feel's on your heart.
Okay, so first, I'll be 58 next month. I can't believe it. So, I was in my 50s when I pivoted from a nursing career to calligraphy coaching. So, it's never too late to do what you're meant to do. It's never too late to do something creative. We are all creative, and creativity is healing.
Hmm.
There's a lot of messages, but I think they're all important. And, to go easy on yourself for
Perfect.
whatever you do, you have to start as a beginner
Yes.
and
And I
let
love
go of your self-judgment. Yeah.
And I love what you said before about like if you do a little bit each day, you will get better because it's
Oh,
practice.
yeah.
You're
Yeah,
always going to get better when you're putting in the time, the energy, and the effort.
exactly.
And one day and one outcome doesn't represent like the whole collective of all of
Absolutely.
the little pieces. And that is something that is so beautiful. And that's one of my biggest things that I like to share with my audience too is like you are never too old. It's never too late. Like there's so many
Yeah.
people out there that, and I forget the woman's name, but she's like an 80-year-old woman who just, who started writing books.
Okay.
And I mean, most people are saying you're towards the end of your life, but this woman, like her life just lit up in a whole different chapter.
That's so
You know what I
awesome.
mean? And
And you hear that like I've heard that about others, right? Like,
yeah,
they talk about Kathy Bates, went into acting in her 50s and
yeah,
she was like award winning, right? And
right.
yeah, so many examples of it. We don't see enough examples, but
Yep.
like why not? Why not
Yeah,
reinvent yourself and
absolutely.
do
And I
what
feel
do
like,
what you were always meant to do?
yes, peeling back the layers and getting deeper and listening to those little whispers of telling you what it is that you're supposed to be doing because look where you are now, for example. You could have still been experiencing burnout and Lord knows what else as a result of not tending to your needs.
Hmm.
while always focusing on other people's needs, both in work and possibly in your home. And now
Yeah.
you are, one, you're setting an example for other people,
Yes.
right? Your sons get
Yeah.
to witness a
Exactly. Right.
happier, more aligned,
Yeah.
more excited mom, which is always
Yeah.
great. You're teaching them that they don't have to go into a standard, what you may have felt pressured to do. Like, you need a job that makes money, you need a job that's
Hmm.
steady. And so you are a perfect role model of all of the amazing things that are possible. And so we need more people like you.
Oh, thank
Give
you.
yourself more credit. Like, I know you believe in yourself. And again, this has just been such an amazing, amazing conversation, because you have also inspired me so deeply to just get out there and do it. I know that I follow you on Instagram, and I love watching all of the beautiful words that you write and the little phrases and all of that. And it's really just so beautiful. I wish I lived closer to your
No,
in-person workshops. Where do
I
you
know.
advertise those? Do you do them? Do you advertise?
I do advertise them. I should have them on my website, and my website is going to be revamped soon. So hopefully by the fall, I'll
Yeah.
have all my workshops and everything listed there. But right now, it's just on Instagram that I'm
Yeah,
sharing it.
absolutely.
And so I haven't done any virtual ones now that I've been focusing on in person again. But I think I want to do a mix
Yeah.
come the fall time. So maybe we'll see you in one.
Yeah, absolutely. That would be
Yeah.
amazing. I would love that.
Yeah.
Thank you again so much. This has been a
Thank
beautiful
you.
conversation. And to my audience, I highly recommend to follow Angie at Calming Calligraphy on Instagram, on all of the places. I love that you're also on LinkedIn. That's a great spot to find people and connect
Hmm.
with people. And again, thank you so much for being a guest on today's episode.
Thank you, Christine. I really appreciate it.